All right, everybody, all you Move, Think, Smile followers, everybody in our High Octane Health Businesses group. Guys, I have got an amazing episode for you today. Today, I have the phenomenal Jake and Peter Deakins. Now, these guys, well, they're brothers. They live out in Washington State, but they're doing something really, really cool. They've got an exit strategy from the traditional healthcare system and have designed and started a really amazing functional practice. And they're doing something that makes most marketers, well, cringe, because they are in a very unique realm. They are in sexual wellness and they deal with, well, erectile dysfunction. And the reason that this is a big problem, we'll kind of talk about this, is that anytime you go out there and you try to build a campaign dealing with anything that has to do with intimacy or romance, gosh forbid, sexual betterness, what ends up happening, guys?
Denied.
You get denied. You get denied like that. So, but what's really cool is we made some really cool magical things happen. You guys are having some really amazing success. You're breaking records, not only in sales and in income coming in, but with the people that you're working with, and you're having some of these really amazing impact. So guys, it's really great to have you here. It's been awesome to have you, our clients. And so the secret is out that your offer is erectile dysfunction, but let's go ahead and just kind of like, just give the spoiler alert. What do we do in April?
So we hit close to $60,000 in April. Yeah.
More than double our highest month ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And this is after 3 years of having your practice, right?
Yep. 3 years of being open.
Which is absolutely phenomenal. And I think the cool thing to share with is, you hadn't even dropped the dime on advertising yet, had you?
No, that Adam was just kind of changing the way we worked with our clientele and adopting that mindset and that kind of positive momentum moving forward, and just enrolling people kind of on the ground at our existing practice. Just a phenomenal change really in the way we were doing business on a day-to-day basis, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of talk about that change. And I think it's really important. So, Jake, you're a medical doctor. Peter, you're a registered nurse, right? And I know that Jake, you were in the hospital. And if I remember right, when we were talking kind of last week, you said you were pumping out 80-hour weeks?
Yeah, I've been working, 60 to 80 hours more often, not, towards the 80-hour a week type deal when we first enrolled with Move, Think, Smile. So it was definitely had hit the burnout mark and was probably on the other side of that for sure.
Now, just out of curiosity, what was it about? I mean, you were in an emergency room, right? And you really helped kind of like strengthen the hospital on that side of things. And you had some really great success there. But what was it about the traditional healthcare model that just had you say, I need to go do this functional thing?
So my background's in primary care, but had done emergency medicine and urgent care medicine, and it really just became sick care. And then, a few years ago, Pete and I had both realized that, burnout was always knocking at the door when it came to that. And we found that through functional medicine and addressing, sexual health in particular, we could really make a pretty big impact in our patients' lives, and really kind of control not only our own destinies, but really have this impact on the patient population. And as narrow as a focus as ED sounds, we're actually addressing complete hormonal health and metabolic health in our patients. That just happens to be one area that we really focus on for sure.
Yeah. And Peter, what would you say, do you see this too? Like the corporate, like healthcare system just kind of pumps people through and it's more about profit than it is wellness?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we, like Jake said, we both were in that environment, and it's kind of, we call it like the cattle mentality. It's just herding patients through, get them in the door and out the door as fast as you can. And there really is no focus on wellness. It's all just reactive medicine. You're just, here's a medication, here's a prescription, see you later. And that's like really tiresome for the care provider, and it's terrible for the patients. So this model really allows us to spend time with our patients, and you guys have really helped us refine how we do that. So
yeah, there's nothing like having to pull what did you say, Jake? You used to do 3 straight 12-hour days. You would have Sunday off, then you go right back to work on Monday and work a straight 6 days.
Yeah. Usually that was the case. 3 back-to-back 12-hour shifts, more like 14 hours by the time you're done, start and finish. So it's getting pretty laborious for sure, pretty tiresome. and then you really can't give your best at either spot. So the time to transition was definitely long past, and definitely a little bit happier now, putting all of my energy into something like a functional medicine practice where we can really address these issues. Yeah.
Well, the good news is you're out of the hospital environment completely, right?
Yep. Completely done with the hospital. Yep.
Because this is doing well. And I know Peter's got his exit strategy, right?
Yeah. Yes, the light. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm super as well. So
Yeah.
This is awesome, guys. This is awesome, guys. So, Jake, when you started your practice a few years ago, what do you think was your biggest roadblock to really making this thing work? I mean, it's not for lack of effort.
Well, no, definitely not for lack of effort. I think part of it was just the lack of focus. I had kind of,
divided attention.
divided attention for sure. And when Pete and I started this practice, we started at literally ground zero, Adam. We had no patient base. We had really no infrastructure per se, no referral network. We just kind of had this idea of a clinic that we were going to operate. And in fact, part of our erectile dysfunction training, the therapy that we offer, we really kind of had that training and our device and our machine and that before we even had a physical location.
Okay.
So I think the main roadblock was just getting the word out and having appropriate marketing and letting people know what we had to offer for sure.
And I think to go along with that, we kind of stagnated and really kind of maintained that level, even though we had some organic growth with patients. Our conversion rate from patients that we would get in for consultation was maybe 50%.
Yeah, probably.
Or a little less, just because we knew that we were providing them with an excellent service, and our expertise made us feel like we were doing that,
Right.
in a sense, because we would always just give people this kind of rote spiel about all the things that we can do for them and know, but patients would kind of glaze over and they don't always respond to that. So that's where I think you guys came in and really transitioned the way that we talk to patients and the way that we interact with patients and new consultations.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people out there listening right now is going, wow, if I had one of two people, 50% conversion rate would be awesome. But if you look at healthcare and a typical doctor's office, even if it's a specialty or whatever it is, their conversion rates are pretty high because somebody's got a problem and they want help now.
Yeah.
So having a 50% or less conversion rate is actually quite low. Would you agree?
Yeah, for us and for the services that we were offering, that was definitely a lot lower than we needed to see, particularly with kind of the high
amount of time required.
Right, that and then the conversion rates that we needed for our overhead on our high ticket items was really where we were lacking, and even some of just our daily services and the functional medicine piece. I was putting a lot of time into a very low charge for a consultation, really not valuing my own time and just the time of our practice and our space. So,
yeah. And if I remember right, if a guy came in you for ED, you were charging what, $200 for that consultation and spending about 2 hours in total.
Yeah, so we actually had a free ED consultation. So the consultation was free. So many times even that hour spent with patients going through the technical details, like Peter said, was an hour lost. So that was kind of in the hole. For hormone management and kind of that functional piece, then yeah, we had a $200 consultation, which was 2 visits in essence, with my time reviewing their blood work in between. So it was also a losing proposition for us in the beginning.
Right. And right now we're no longer trading time for money anymore, are we?
No, correct. Yeah. So now there's, a doubling at a minimal of those office visits. If there's any action taken by myself or Peter, the consultation is no longer free. People aren't just going to go and have our expertise without having that time reimbursed for sure.
But I think the coolest part is, right, so now your offer, right, for helping men with erectile dysfunction, we're no longer charging them by the hour. We're at what, $3,000 to $6,000 now?
Yeah, so we're averaging probably around $5,000 is really what we've been kind of taking in. Since we talked last week, we just did another one for $5,400. So yeah, yeah.
What? Somebody else said yes?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to note, guys, that, so I know Jake and Peter, we were kind of talking last week, and you said that you were kind of averaging right around 20 to 23K is what you were doing.
Correct.
And that your overhead was what, 21K a month?
Yeah, with what we were kind of our meager little salaries that we were taking a little bit from the practice for ourselves to supplement what we were doing at the hospital. Yeah, our total overhead is about 21K a month.
All right. So you were bringing home what, a 500,000 bucks home a piece?
What? No. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, $500. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Not
Were. Yeah. This is the old business, right? Right. And so that's changed now, especially when you're pulling in, $56,000 to $60,000 a month, which is really phenomenal for you guys. And speaking of conversion rates, so if the conversion rates were at 50%, what are they now?
I think we're probably closer to probably 75 to 80%. I think, particularly in that month where we grew so rapidly, we were lucky to have a lot of new patients in the door, new clients, and that conversion rate was probably closer to 90. Yeah.
Wow. So we're talking about in upwards of a 75% to almost double the conversion rate.
Yeah, for sure.
That's, I mean, in the land of statistical percentages, which I know you guys live in because you're doctors and nurses, right? That's a big jump.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, even 2 to 3% can be a big jump in the world of health and wellness, but we're talking about 75 to even 100% increase in the conversions. But it wasn't always that easy, was it? I mean, you guys, and it's not like you didn't have people coming in the door, but you had gone out there and you had done a pretty massive, as a radio campaign, right?
Yep.
Radio and some targeted digital marketing.
Yeah.
Spent over $30,000 our first year on marketing.
Yeah, close to 40.
Close to 40. And I think I remember you were saying like, and it ended up being closer to 45 when you put it all together. And then you guys just had to write it off as a loss, didn't you?
Yeah. No, the return on investment on that was
almost nothing.
Almost nothing. Yeah.
Now, do you think it was because of the strategy? Because you know what we say, it's like any marketing strategy can work. What do you think? Where do you think the disconnect there was?
I just think, we weren't really resonating with our target audience. I think it was the shotgun approach, and it was, try to get as many clicks and as many views and as many out there without really understanding who it was that we were trying to serve. And really, Peter and I both know we're good at what we do. Our results are great once we get people through the door. And we would always lament like, oh, if we could just shout this from the rooftops. But we weren't shouting to the right people, I guess.
or in the right way.
Or in the right direction, yeah.
Because I think some of those early marketing ploys, I would say, were just gimmicky, maybe. They didn't, like Jake said, they didn't resonate with people. Maybe they just seemed too good to be true or whatever. I don't know.
And you guys were really taking kind of a discounting approach too, right?
Yeah, that was another great takeaway for us from Move Think Smile is that we suffered from kind of this overpriceitis, or, we wanted to be the good guys and give a discount and really not realizing that people were willing to pay for their health and wellness like they are. And so that was something that we had to overcome personally. But yeah, we were kind of heavily discounting and kind of almost desperate, like, well, here's some added value here, and here's some added value here, and if you do this, we'll do this. And it ended up again, if you sort it out at the end of the week, it's like, oh, well, we just gave away a lot of things.
Thousands of dollars sometimes.
In time and services with really to close a sale that ended up then costing us kind of in the long run. And what we found is the people that we did that for really were not as vested in the process anyways.
It totally devalued the service for them, I think, in their mind.
Okay, so you're saying even though you were the good guys and you were helping them out and giving them a deal, they weren't showing up the way that they should?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I mean, we see that a lot, right? And it's interesting. It's like, where do you guys think the discount mentality came from? Like, we need to discount.
Oh, lots of different things. I think, moving from an insurance-based model where I was practicing and Pete was practicing, people are just used to going in and getting something for nothing, even though they don't really look on the back end of their premiums and say, well,
Right.
really, I'm paying $600-700
Yeah.
a month out of my own paycheck for these services. And then we grew up in a large family. Money was always tight, kind of blue collar parents. We both have worked since we were little, young teenagers, put ourselves through school, all of those things. So just having that mentality around money, I think it in one way was really holding us back, which is strange because Pete and I both like to snowboard and fly fish, and we'll spend $700, $800, $900 on a new snowboard package, or a new fly rod or something. But
I think it all centered around just that idea that we weren't realizing the value, our own value of what we were providing, right? We were just kind of, again, focusing on the technical details and not thinking like, what is it that we're actually providing for these people? And it's the solution, right?
Right.
It's that simple mindset change, because what is it worth for these people to heal, to be better, to have proper sexual function, on top of all the other benefits they're getting. And so, yeah, once we made that change, then it was much easier to see like, yeah, this is priceless for these people. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think this is one thing that, it's so funny how the big healthcare model, right? Our sickness-based model, which, don't get me wrong, is extremely valuable if you break yourself,
Yeah.
right? Or if you get seriously injured or seriously sick, but from a wellness standpoint, would you say it's very helpful?
No, not at all. Yeah, there's very little emphasis on prevention or wellness or healing. It's all about symptom management, symptom mitigation, prescribing, and revenue is really kind of what our current healthcare system is. And I worked in it long enough, I can confidently say that.
and it's revenue for the administrators and the upper echelons of the big business, not the caregivers.
Yeah, not usually.
Not the caregiver. So these money mindsets, like what mindset did you were you in? Because I know that the traditional healthcare model, really, it's all about the time, right? It's almost like the same thing attorneys use. They bill for their time.
Yeah. I think we were kind of more in that mindset, of like hourly, this is what, my time's worth, and this is what Peter's time is worth. And this is what our overhead is. So a lot of kind of fixed numbers without realizing, again, what you guys kind of brought to the forefront of, this is really life-changing. This is really priceless. And even now what I'm offering and what we're offering and what we're charging is minuscule compared to what people are getting. I mean, we're literally metabolically changing their health outcomes. Managing diabetes and thyroid and insulin resistance and all of these other parameters that come along with what we do. These people are potentially going to live 10, 15, 20 years longer without chronic disease. So
yeah, so there's two things I want to point out. The first is, even though you're trading the time for money, do you think it was, you guys had a family of 7? Is that what you guys came from?
Yep.
A pretty big family, definitely much bigger than my family.
Yeah.
And what do you, you've got the hourly thing that was been pounded into you from the healthcare system, right? The way insurance pays and that kind of thing, and the standard rates and what all that is. And I can see how that could basically, you could believe that that's the way it's supposed to be when you work that way for decades. But the discount mentality, did that really come from, growing up and always trying to save the most money?
Yeah, I think in large part.
Yeah, I think so. And people are like, oh, well, you're a physician and you make money. But, we just kind of grew up, and if something broke around the house, we fixed it because you couldn't pay a repairman to come over.
Right.
I still work on my own cars and build my own fences and, do stuff around my house, unless it's something really crazy. But I think that was just ingrained in us.
And I think, geographically, there's a unique culture where our practice is physically located here. It's definitely not a high income area. it's probably a medium to low income by and large. And so, you don't want to make those judgments about people, but if someone comes in and you make those kind of snap judgments sometimes, like they're a blue collar worker, maybe they don't have a lot of expendable income. And so part of it comes from that. I think that you're like, okay, do they have the money or to pay for our services? And so you have this kind of almost guilt complex, like, hey, I'm taking, 2 mortgage payments away from this guy. But at the same time, you have to realize that if they're here wanting our services, they're going to find a way to make it happen. And that's part of what you guys taught us as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's interesting, right? Because in the first week we launched your advertising, what happened?
Well, yeah.
A local guy saw it.
Local guy saw it. Yeah.
He came in.
Yep. And we sold him a package.
Yeah.
Right. Not at the $200 level, was it?
No.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was $5,000 level.
Yeah. So we debunked that myth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I really like what you were saying, Peter, about, and Jake too, about it's not just about ED. And I think this is where a lot of health practitioners get kind of confused when we talk of that term niche.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, I'm going to get out there. I got to find my niche. I got to find my target. I got to find my audience. And, one of the things we like to do is I'll like take those words and kind of put them in a box and throw them over here because we're talking about human beings, right? Yeah. We're talking about real people and changing the mindset on that, but also understanding that just because my niche, that doesn't mean that's not what you do for a living. That's just the message we're putting out there. Right. And we got an ad that is still running and approved for sexual wellness and erectile dysfunction. And it's kicking extreme butt right now on Facebook. And so these guys are coming in. And is that the only thing going on with them?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. So you get the ability to really help improve their health, even though they're coming in for this one thing.
Yeah.
And it's got to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, it's cool. And I think that's a surprise to them. And I think when they talk to Peter and myself there, we routinely say, hey, we're not just treating your penis.
Right.
Brian or Joe or Sam or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of the barometer for their overall health. And yes, we're going to fix that issue. But by doing that, inevitably, we're looking at hormones, we're looking at nutrition, we're looking at lifestyle, we're looking at all of these things that play a role. And I think that surprises a lot of them that it's not just this service or a device or a pill or a pump. It's really a very functional and integrative approach when it comes to looking at that. So,
and it's got to feel amazing just, on the heart level that you're actually tackling the root cause, right?
Oh, yeah.
That you're not just pumping through and just symptom management anymore.
Correct. Yeah.
Or symptom mitigation, as you said.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really made medicine fun for us again. Obviously we still have long, hard days, and managing the practice and having a physical location can be difficult. And you still deal with the patients that have needs that pop up. But it really has made it fun again. We tell people all the time, a busy day for us is maybe 8 to 10 patients through our practice, plus people we're managing online. Versus a primary care day for me in the past was 30 plus patients, and ER and urgent care, you're seeing 40 patients in 12 hours. It's crazy. So
what's that average of 15 minutes a patient?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I know, like in an urgent care setting, you'd have 4 or 5 patients you were working up at the same time. You just go room to room and order tests and wait for X-rays and wait for nursing staff to get things done. And very little time to develop a relationship, at least a therapeutic relationship or a meaningful relationship. Yeah.
Okay. So, or actually tackle the root cause of whatever's going on.
Oh, never in that setting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's totally admirable, guys. Like, I just love where you're going from, and don't get me wrong, but we kind of going from the dark side to the light side of the force, right? So, we're getting the intentions in the right place. And so let's kind of talk about, the advertising, right? So you guys had a really strong month, almost 60K in April. Hadn't even launched your stuff yet. You were just restructuring the way that you were speaking to people. Plus you had a giant price hike, right?
Yep.
You increased your prices up. We're not trading the time. We're doing a flat fee, added a couple zeros in there and then some, right? 10x the price. And I think that's really freaking awesome. And, how's it been doing? Like, yeah, I know the first week you had somebody locally who saw your ad on Facebook. They came in, signed in for 5K. And if I remember right, last week, Peter, you were saying that you guys had like close to 1,000 responses
on our opt-in.
Yeah. It's so well over 1,000 now, I think.
Yeah, last week it was 900. We have continual opt-in.
And we actually had a little bit of a technical snafu where our ad actually was off for a few days. We didn't realize it, but from when we talked last, there was actually probably a 3 or 4 day period where it was off. And so we're like, oh, it must just be the holiday weekend. We didn't get anybody new opt-in. The second we turned it back on, like within hours, we had people opting back in. So,
yeah. All right. So you're saying you've got an automated ad out there that's just piping hot prospects and leads right to you.
Yeah.
And you got 1,000. And I think it's really important to say, guys, like you don't have like this ginormous ad budget that you're putting in, are you? Are you putting in $45,000?
No.
No, how much a day are you putting in?
35.
Yeah, $35 a day. Yeah.
$35 a day. So that's roughly $1,000 in a 4-week period.
Yeah.
So you basically paid $1 per prospect per lead.
Yep.
Guys, you guys are breaking records, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
I mean, in the people that are coming in, was it the same results of like with the $45,000 radio campaign?
No, we had 0 results with that. Yeah.
We were kind of just waiting by the phone for calls.
Yeah, we had a couple of phone calls, honestly, that people heard our ad on the radio, and that was it. We couldn't even get them in the door. And at this point in the game, we've already converted, several from our ad, and even one before the ad, just with our mindset change. So, one $6,000 patient easily covers all of that.
All right. So how many patients have you gotten from the ad so far? At least one we know of, right?
1, 2.
2.
And was the second one also a 5K client patient?
5,400. Yeah.
All right. So on $1,000 ad spend, you turned $1 into 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a bad ROI.
No, that's pretty good.
1,000% return on your advertising.
Yeah.
Nice, guys. Are you happy?
Yeah.
It's not 12.
No, we're still fine tuning it, but yeah, we're ecstatic. We know it works. We personally know that we just have to put in the work as well and continue to refine the way we're serving. Yeah.
Nice, guys. Nice. And I really, really, really admire what you guys are doing. So just out of curiosity, like what would you say was the number one, or maybe the top 1 or 2 kind of like big aha moments for you guys? You had your health practice out there for 3 years, right? You were still in the hospital. Peter was still in the hospital. Peter's on his way out. And then all of a sudden it starts to work. And not just work a little bit, it's working well.
Yeah.
What would you say that the big transition, the transformation was for you guys?
I think the most important thing was just it really sounds cliche, but it was just the mindset that it's possible, and that, wrapping my head around people having a problem and then having the desire and the vested interest to buy their way out of the problem, I guess is lack of a better explanation, but that's really what they're doing. We're not offering a service. We're not selling them a product. We're providing them a path.
Yeah.
Right.
A solution. I think I echo that. I mean, I think that piece that we've kind of hammered on and talked about is that realizing the value of what we do as offering a solution is just invaluable. So.
And remember, guys, look at it as, they are kind of buying their way out of a problem, but what they're really doing is you're giving them a better life.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. We're not just fixing ED, because if ED is happening, I mean, gosh knows what else is going on here. There's probably some weight gain, there's probably some fatigue, there's probably some brain fog. I'm sure there's some hormones that are kind of out of whack, which you don't usually hear that on the male side of things, right? You usually hear that with women.
Yeah.
And you're coming in and they're coming to you for the ED, but you're helping them with all these other things. And next thing you know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you're adding longevity to their life.
Oh, for sure. Undoubtedly. Yeah.
Right. So 5K, you know, if you're adding 5 to 10 years, not just 5 to 10 years, but 5 to 10 years where you can actually enjoy those years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's freaking amazing. Yeah, it does feel good. Right.
Yeah.
So we're fixing the problem, but we're also doing some really amazing things. And it's really learning how to communicate and articulate that value out there. Right.
Yeah.
It's big. Anything else, Peter? What would you say was your big aha? Same thing or?
Yeah, I mean, same thing for sure. You know, recognizing that value, all of the mindset pieces have just been really amazing because they seem so simple, and it's really the simplicity of it all that kind of never ceases to amaze us, I think, because we're like, you know, we were kind of just hitting our heads against the wall for 3 years thinking, why isn't this building why we feel like it should, right? Like Jake said, you want to shout it off the rooftops, and you'd think that people have such amazing results that they would tell their friends and family. Obviously, that's a sensitive subject, you know, when you're dealing with sexual health. But I mean, that ability to talk to patients and convey that value without really even talking about price, right? So they get it. They get it before you even say what the price of our services are, because we're going through those hells, we're going through those heavens, and then cost is not even an objection, or it's not nearly the objection that it was in the past. So
and I would say on the other point of trading time for money or value, our consultations now using the Move, Think, Smile kind of mojo, man, you know, we're spending half of the time, sometimes less, with these patients because we've eliminated kind of our technical know-how and all of these explanations, realizing that it's not about us, it's about the patient. And so we're converting these people much more efficiently and quickly, which is saving us time and energy and resources. So, you know, I used to spend an hour explaining the all of the technicalities of the procedure, and now it's, here's your problem, here's how we can help, let's move forward, you know, literally from an hour to maybe 25 minutes.
So you've more than cut your time in half.
Yeah. Easily.
With people, 15 to 25 minutes. I remember you said sometimes it's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you have a higher conversion rate. So up to 90% are now saying yes.
Yeah.
Even though your price is at 5K.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, this last guy, Adam, it was that easy. This last guy that came in, I had kind of just gave him the basics, and he's like, all right, how do we do this? How do I pay? I hadn't even talked about price.
That's awesome. So this is how you do it the right way, guys. This is such good news to hear.
Yeah.
And guys, you know, don't get me wrong. You know, Jake and Peter, they did something that was really important. 1, they showed up. 2, they showed up with an open mindset. And 3, they were willing to look at what was going on, not only with their business, but what was going on with them.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, you guys have figured this out, right? Your business is an engine, right?
Yeah.
You can fine tune it and you can put in the right spark plugs in the right places. But if you're putting in bad gas, is it going to go very far?
Nope.
No. And that gas is always the people at the top of the business owners, the entrepreneurs. It's like people like Jake. It's people like Peter. And this is why, you know, we talk about a lot of this stuff. And even though it sounds simple and we make it as simple as possible, is any of this stuff easy?
No.
I mean, it is, but it isn't, right?
Yeah.
What would you say was one of the hardest things you had to do or overcome? Was it still the mindset or something?
I think
the time management and the mindset was still, I think, still struggling to wrap our head around that, you know, and having that constant reminder and the Zoom meetings with other people were just reinforcing, you know, seeing that other people are doing the same thing. So,
well, old habits die hard, right? And so, it is that repetition. And, like you said, we've been doing things the traditional way for so many years that it took some time to kind of rewire the way we were thinking. But I think that it's much more cemented now than it was initially. So
how did you guys feel about the inside of Move Think Smile? It's like, I talked to Jake. I don't think even Peter knew about it, right?
No,
and then,
no.
So what was your reaction, Peter? Was Jake was like, hey, guess what I just did?
My first reaction was like, what the hell did you get us into? Basically, it was my initial thought. But, I trusted him. And so I said, well, it is what it is. Let's do this thing. And if we're going to do it, let's do it good. And the rest is history, as they say. So.
Yeah.
And was it kind of boring on the inside and blasé? Or did you guys...
No. It was always great. Very engaging, a lot more in depth than I anticipated, actually. And so we always were kind of, I felt like we were always 10 steps behind because just busy. But it was very engaging, very doable, very reinforcing, very positive, uplifting, motivational. And the list goes on and on and on. Yeah.
And working with Elliot, how was that?
Oh, well, amazing. Yeah. That's where I felt like really she kind of taught me things about what was in my head that I didn't really know were there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And so guys, if you were going to, a lot of people watching this right now are always looking for advice and stuff like this. If you could give one piece of advice to anybody watching, what would it be?
Do it.
Do it. Follow the steps. Yeah.
Follow
just
the steps.
Stay on target and it does work. So.
Yeah. Pete and I were guilty of reverse engineering some of the steps a little bit. We kind of jumped ahead and then had to go back. And you guys probably were shaking your heads like, why are they asking questions that were already answered? But that was just our personality. But yeah, do it. Do the steps. It works. It seems easy. It's not easy. There's work, but the outcomes are worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust the process because it freaking works, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, guys. And if you're watching this right now and you're at all interested in seeing if we can help maybe be a good fit to help you grow your health and wellness business, and it doesn't matter if you're a medical doctor or a registered nurse like Jake Peter, a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner, or if you're more on the integrative side of like health coaching, I invite you to come over to movethinkSmile.com/grow. Pick a spot on the calendar. You're going to speak to myself or my partner, Elia. We take all the calls because we treat this very, very seriously. And Jake, when we got on the phone, would you say it was kind of high pressure and salesy and gross and stuff, or?
No, it was very familiar. It was very kind of low key. It was really surprising to me. And it's like, do I pick up the phone? Do I take this call? I don't want to be pressured. I don't. I'm used to that pharmaceutical rep style coming in, and as not my speed. But no, it was very easy. It was very conversational, and it was very telling. It definitely resonated with me, and that's the reason that I felt like I could trust and pull the trigger. Even before talking to Peter, I maybe a bit impetuous, but it was worth it.
Awesome. And I think one of the side benefits, and if I remember you saying last week, like one of your brothers actually said, it's great to have my brother back. Yeah.
Just not being in the hospital, not being so burned out. I was out to eat with my wife and my brother and sister-in-law, and they were like, yeah, it's good to have Jake back for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's funny what happens when you're pumping out those 60, 70, 8 hours a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get Sunday off, and do you get to really enjoy it?
Nope. It was just catch up around the house day. Yeah, that's about it.
Get the laundry, sweep the floor, wash the car. If you have time for that, maybe look at the blue sky for a few seconds. All right, over.
Yeah, pretty little time for enjoyment for sure.
And now over this past, since we've been working together since November or so, you're getting out there. And when the snow was up, you were getting out snowboarding, once or twice a week?
Yep. Enjoying time with my boys. We've got camping trips and fishing trips planned now. We're definitely wanting to get out more, and life is more enjoyable. It's still busy here, but we're making time, which is another thing you guys taught us. You have to put yourself on the calendar.
Yeah.
And
recharge. You do. And Peter, would you say that this is just like, is it giving you breathing room too?
Well, it's giving me hope for breathing room. So because I'm still transitioning out, I'm still doing those, 70, 80 hour work weeks, unfortunately, but I'm very close. And like I said, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we'll be able to transition me out very quickly. So,
well, this is what's cool because we don't proclaim this as a business in a box or an overnight success system or any of that kind of stuff, right? But this is true long-term, sustained entrepreneurship when it comes to functional, integrative, and holistic health. Would you guys agree to that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's also cool. And now that summertime, I mean, there's not much snow on the ground. What are you getting out there doing now?
Camping, fly fishing, hiking, just spending time with the kids, mountain biking, everything we like to do. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome, guys. So for everybody watching, if you're at all interested in being able to learn how to articulate your true value, if you're at all interested in learning how to truly get paid what you're worth, not only that, while having a massive impact with people who need your help, because guys, the people who are showing up now, they're having great results, aren't they?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they're probably having better results than before.
Yeah, for sure. The buy-in is definitely higher for sure.
Yeah. So guys, if that sounds good to you, then you're definitely going to want to get on a calendar, sit down with us and have a chat to see if we're a good fit for your health business. Come on over to movethinkSmile.com/grow and let's chat soon. So Jake and Peter, it has been my freaking honor to be your guide and your Sherpa up this steep path of success mountain. Freedom Summit is here and I see Peak 83 in the distance, right? That's that Peak 83. Yeah, Peak 83, guys. For those of you who don't know what it is, if you have $1 million business, how much are you doing a month?
83.
83, exactly. Yeah. All right, guys. It's wonderful to see you guys. We're not done yet. And hopefully we'll be back here soon talking about the success up on top of Peak 83.
Oh, we'll be
All right,
there.
guys. Take care.